Welcome back to another episode of the Outsider Sports Baseball Podcast. Corey, Jason, Dylan, Mel, John, Pauline, NL West Day. Your reigning back-to-back world champions. But before we get into that, the WBC is here. We've been kind of talking about it. I want to go over a little briefly how things have started off. Now, the official tournament hasn't started. That'll be the end of this week. But we did have some WBC versus MLB spring training games. Just to go over some scores, let me know which ones you guys kind of found surprising. Team Mexico beat Arizona Diamondbacks 6-3. Great Britain 7, Milwaukee 3. Team USA, what was that?
I mean, the runs from Great Britain higher than I would have expected.
Yeah.
Shout out Jazz Chisholm, quite the golfer apparently as well.
Yeah, he did such a pretty big stir with that double eagle hole-in-one on a par 4. Team USA 15, San Fran 1, expected. Aaron Judge starting it off with a 2-run single. Nicaragua 3, the Mets 6. Brazil 4, the A's 14. Cuba 0, Royals 4. Italy 9, the Cubs 4. The Netherlands 8, Baltimore 5. Panama 1, the Yankees 11. Canada 7, Toronto 10. And I did see something pretty interesting where Vladdy should be on Team Canada, not Team DR. Born in Canada, let them have a bone. Team DR stacked as it is. They don't need Vladdy.
I kind of like them having Vladdy. I think there's obviously a case, but I like the fact that there's a lot of really great World Baseball Classic teams. The World Cup only happens every so often, and that's a pretty mixed bag field as well, which makes it super interesting. I feel like the Olympics for basketball has kind of been America's clearly the best team if they fumble it away. Flag football is probably, at least for the first few years, going to be just very heavily America. I like for the World Baseball Classic that not only is it not just the American team is the best, but there's some real heavy hitters outside of America,
Yeah.
Japan. DR is really good. PR is really good. Mexico's got a pretty solid squad this year. I like that there's a lot of good squads, and no shade at Canada, but Vladdy on DR is more interesting in terms of which team could actually win it all.
Then you have Israel 1, Miami 0, one of the very few shutouts we've seen today. Colombia 1, Pittsburgh 7. And then, as we discuss right now, you have a couple games ongoing. You have Detroit versus the DR. That's tied 3-3 going into the bottom of the third. Venezuela versus Houston. Venezuela is up 1-0, and that's in the bottom of the fourth. And then Puerto Rico versus Boston. Puerto Rico 4, Boston 0, and that's in the bottom of the fourth.
I thought the most interesting game you mentioned was the A's Brazil game. The fact that the A's put up 14 runs has me pretty excited for Friday night. Feels like America might break the 15 mark in that game.
Maybe more.
Maybe.
I think that's Logan Webb starting that game.
Yeah, true Patriot.
Not one that's, like Scooble, he's going to throw 55 pitches in his one outing against Strickland.
Yeah, Mr. I'm not ramped up yet. Yeah, it's okay.
Doesn't deserve to wear that USA uniform.
It just doesn't deserve to take the spot from someone else.
And Team USA also came out and said that Nolan McLean's going to start the championship game if we get that far.
Oh, yeah.
So
LGM.
Let's go.
Let's go America.
LG USA.
No, let's go America.
Let's go America. LFGM. But
This is a kid show.
This is a kid show. But so I think the most surprising one to me was not so much one score, but a couple of them, like Italy beating the Cubs 9-4.
But like the Cubs are without Bregman, they're without PCA.
True, but like who's really on Team Italy?
I think they're also without Matthew Boyd.
Matthew Boyd's on Team USA.
Yeah, so they're without some of their better players. So it's kind of like how much are the Cubs trying, and like Italy's probably really trying.
And then you obviously Britain over the Brewers. Britain didn't have such a great roster last time out. They want to do better. They have Jazz Chisholm now. Aroldis Chapman's now in Great Britain.
Mm-hmm.
Still a little surprising. Whenever you see one of these world teams beat an MLB squad, it is cause for like, oh, wow. Because you would think that all the better players that aren't in the WBC would just be on their actual squad. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But other free agency news, Starling Marte signed a 1-year, $1 million deal with the Royals.
Just wants to keep playing.
If only somebody let Andrew McCutchen get that type of deal. He just wants to keep going too. And then Max Scherzer, 1 year, $3+ million with incentives. He signed back with the Blue Jays.
Good for them.
But we did have some suspension talk. Jurickson Profar, Ben's favorite player.
Vindicated! Sorry, that's what Ben texted the group chat earlier. Figured
said.
somebody had to say it.
Suspended.
I don't know, vindicated of what, though?
Suspended 162 games, whole season, after we saw that 80-game suspension last year.
Has to forfeit his $15 million salary.
How stupid do you have to be to get caught, not just twice, but in back-to-back seasons?
Yeah, that's a tough look. For those who don't know, Ben, co-host not here, has had a long-standing rivalry with Jurickson Profar. It's probably been 3-4 seasons.
Yeah, a while, almost
Since
as long as we've been doing the show.
Yeah, since he was on the Padres. It's not even a Mets-Braves thing. So, yeah.
He is not a Profar fan, but we do have a Philly facing some hot water. Yohan Rosas facing an 80-game suspension. He's already off the DR, the WBC roster for the Dominican Republic. John, this is your guy. What's going on?
Honestly, I didn't, like I said when we were talking about it earlier before we started recording, like I didn't read too much into it, but I was reading that it wasn't performance-enhancing drugs or anything. It was THC, marijuana that he got in trouble for. So I don't know.
The weed.
I don't know. I mean, I guess I don't know if that's it. I don't know how that's like an issue, considering that it's mostly legal now in the U.S.
I don't believe
and
Major
stuff,
League Baseball tests for
but-
marijuana.
No, but I guess it's a World Baseball Classic thing. But you also said he's facing an 80-game suspension in MLB for MLB
Nothing's
2,
been officially
which is
reported
weird.
by the MLB or from the Phillies yet. This is just kind of beat reporter reporting. So probably close to the time that people are seeing this, there's probably going to be some more clarification. So we're just kind of in the weeds of not sure what happened. I do want to talk about it as if he is suspended, just because obviously that's one, kind of most likely. I don't think I've ever seen one of these overturned. And two, more interesting as to the Phillies just released Nick Castellanos. If they lose Rojas in the field, you lost Bader in free agency. What's that outfield looking like?
Well, they still have Crawford, who's going to come up, and then like Kemp can still play the outfield, and you still have Marsh.
And
but I mean, after that, you're getting
agent.
into. But after that, it's getting really thin.
Because Kepler's already suspended too.
Kepler's already suspended for enhancing drugs too.
What are you guys feeding these players?
So I have no clue. But from what it sounded like, the Rojas one sounded like he got busted for marijuana, and then I don't know if it was reported weird, and they thought it was like a ped thing, but I don't know because it doesn't seem like there was much on it. So
we'll see. We'll come back with the answer next week if we get one. But this will also factor into what we make of the Phillies, because Rojas was fighting for a roster spot to be a contributor.
Yeah, I mean, no Rojas. I might pick them to miss the playoffs completely.
Yeah, I mean, they might go from division winner to division loser now.
I don't think he's that big of a part of their offense or team.
No, you don't think?
I don't think so.
I don't
I mean,
know.
he wasn't even. I mean, I think he's a good defender, and I think he can hit, but he doesn't really have power. So, and I don't think last year. I don't think he was even up on the roster.
He's what I call a glue guy.
So,
well, so let's get into some NL West talk. We talked about, the AL West, both Central divisions. We now have the reigning World Series champion Dodgers and their division. Last year, the Dodgers, a paltry 93-69, winning the division. They weren't one of the top 2 seeds. They were the 3 seed. Padres second place, 90-72. Giants 81-81. Diamondbacks 80-82. And I had to triple check this when I saw the Rockies record, because I just didn't think that was physically possible to go 43-119. And I have a note on them that they set the record for worst run differential ever at minus 424. So the Padres were the 5 seed. They made the playoffs as a wild card. They lost to the Cubs in the NL wild card 2-1. The Dodgers, they beat Cincinnati 2-0 in the wild card round, then went on to beat the Phillies 3-1 in the NLDS. Long story short, they beat the Blue Jays 4-3 and 7 in the World Series.
One of the best World Series in recent memory.
yeah.
One of the greatest World Series games, easy.
I think just one of the greatest World Series.
Yeah.
To be honest,
Yeah.
I mean, we had in the middle of that series one of the longer extra inning games. Freeman walks it off. Toronto looked like they were going to be down a ton after that game. They battle back. They end up going home with a 3-2 lead. Game 6, the Dodgers win, and then Yamamoto proves why he's the 3rd best pitcher in all of baseball, wins the World Series MVP, and gets it done. The Yamamoto glaze is starting early, boys.
You know what? It might be deserved.
Might.
But throw in the Dodgers also swept the Brewers, who are the 1 seed in the NLCS. So just an all-around rout of the NL. Had some trouble for the first time in years with the AL in the World Series, but they ended up taking care of business. First, the Blue Jays. They have now played and defeated, or just played, I guess, 4 out of the 5 AL East teams in the World Series since the Baltimore Orioles' last playoff win.
Don't even throw out the theory.
18, Blue Jays in 20, Yankees in 24.
Red Sox in 20, Blue Jays in 25.
Rays in 20, Red Sox in 18, Yankees in 24, Blue Jays in 25. Baltimore, what are you doing? You got to...
Not so fast, my friend.
Maybe this is the year the three-peat runs through Baltimore.
No,
No, you don't think?
I know.
So we will we'll discuss the Orioles in a few weeks and the Dodgers a little bit in a little bit. I do want to discuss the Rockies to kick things off. Hot button topic, World Series contender, one of the best teams in the National League, Colorado Rockies. They've added superstar ace Jose Quintana to lock down that rotation. 1 year, $6 million. Tomoyuki Sugano, another starter, 1 year, 5.1. Willie Castro, play second base, 2 for 12.8. Michael Lorenzen, also a starter, 1 for 8. They traded Jake McCarthy, an outfielder from the A's, Brennan Bernardino, a reliever from Boston, Edouard Julien, an infielder from Minnesota, Pearson Ole, a pitcher from Minnesota, and TJ Rumfield, first baseman from the Yankees. And they lost Herman Marquez, who was their ace for quite a while. He went to San Diego. Orlando Arcia, an infielder, went to Minnesota. Tyro Estrada, infielder, to Baltimore. Kyle Farmer, an infielder, to Atlanta. Michael Toglia, first baseman, to the Reds. So my question for you guys is, how much improvement do we expect? Is 50 wins, 60, 70? Which of those do we think is in reach?
I mean, 50's in reach.
50
is in reach. 60,
Again, they had 43 wins last year. 40 was barely in reach.
50 is in reach. 60 would be a good year. Which, listen, Rockies fans, whoever you are watching this, Corey means to come off condescending. I don't mean to come off condescending. There's not a lot here to work with in terms of a positive spin. Brenton Doyle, okay, could be something.
I like Zach Veen a lot.
I was gonna just say Zach Veen gonna come up, hit 50 home runs for them.
Could see him come up. Obviously, the Chris Bryant injury changes some things. I actually think Willie Castro is probably going to play some more third now, and we could see Julian at second base. Maybe something pops there.
Tovar is still a good player.
Yeah.
Ezekiel Tovar,
You could maybe trade him at the deadline for some assets. If I was the Rockies, I would look to flip as many pieces as I can over the age of 25 at the deadline and just overhaul. I mean, a youth movement. I want guys starting next year, multiple, that can't drink legally. If I'm a Rockies fan, if we're going to be bad, I want to at least just get some guys some reps in. Because this division, let's be honest, it's not going to be winnable for the next 5 years. So you better start seeing what you got in the young pieces and try and build a core for 2030.
I mean, they just got to enter like full rebuild mode, and just as soon as they get a good player that they have there shows any sign that's, like you said, over the age of 25, just ship gone for prospects, just immediately.
Wheeling and dealing. I do apologize, Rockies fans, but I think your ownership group is one of the ones that's just in baseball for the profit.
My next question, though, is that, I just said before, the Rockies in 2025 had the worst run differential at a -124 ever. They gave up 1,021 runs, and they only scored 595. How do they fix this with the way their team is
Fixed?
Fix.
Trade away
How do they improve where they're not?
I mean,
worst?
I have to be honest. You're at rock bottom. Like, odds are in your favor that you improve from being the 2025 Rockies. Just the odds are in your favor that you don't get worse. Like, you're still throwing out MLB players. So the odds are that things will be better and more watchable this year. The downside is, I think you're in a division that the 4 other teams all could be playoff teams, and obviously one of them is the reigning dynasty in baseball. So not a lot of wins coming in that division.
But this isn't something you just fix like over a season. This is something you fix over multiple seasons, because you have to
We've been trying to fix it over a decade, though.
I think it's just the location. That's where it is, and balls just fly out of there in Colorado. I mean,
it's going to be hard to get pitchers, but
it's hard to get hitters to go there.
I mean, the Rockies did go to a World Series, years ago, but they were in a World Series.
The biggest thing, they got to go for homegrown talent. That's the biggest thing.
You have to give some kind of a core for people to want to come.
Yeah.
Right now, nobody wants to come. I mean, Pete Alonso, would this not have been an interesting spot for somebody like him? I mean, it's an interesting ballpark for him to play in. And, any guy who's a power guy.
Signing, though, because
Chris Bryant
went
I know it would have been. I'm saying they didn't get Pete Alonso because they haven't built a core worth playing with.
Right.
And that's what the focus should be. This is a similar conversation, and I know we've brought them up a couple times in these shows when talking about the bad teams, but it's because they have kind of turned it around. The Athletics, we were talking about the Athletics as this piss poor when we were first doing the podcast. It took a while. It took 4 seasons, but now some of us are predicting them to be, fringe playoff teams. And truthfully, realistically, next year, I think they could compete in the AL West. Another good year of development and strengthening that pitching staff. If they never got rid of Mason Miller, they'd be in a really good spot.
But then again, getting a Leo DeVry, whatever it is, might put them over. But the Rockies don't have a guy like Miller to jumpstart a turnaround.
Well, I think Tovar, I think Tovar is a name you could certainly move. Willie Castro, I think at the deadline you could bring in something. It's hard to move on from Brenton Doyle because he doesn't exactly fit the mold. But if you could get 2 to 4 prospects you believe in, it might be worth it.
And then just getting up a guy like Zach Veen early, let him just become the face of the franchise. That's the way forward. Get somebody that the fans can rally around.
I mean, I like Jake McCarthy, but again, I think he's a piece you can move at the deadline too.
Anybody that you're bringing in right now on a trade is somebody that you should be able to
Moniak.
Yeah.
I mean, send him back to the Phillies, right? He used to be a Philly. Am I tripping?
He was a first round.
I mean,
pick
now they're down. They're down 2 outfielders potentially right now. They could use him back. Like, again, there are teams out there that you have role players for. Similar to last year, the Yankees wanted Ryan McMahon. Like, again, flip those guys at the deadline. Don't be one of those teams that holds, just flip them for the best offer. Tell yourself, we're going to trade this guy. What's the best offer? And then at 3:00 on August, whatever, because the deadline's so far back this year, move them.
Just keep flipping it until you build up a minor league system that can actually compete and supply you with an endless amount of MLB talent.
Yep.
Yeah, and then you can put together a team that attracts, shows free agents that you want to win. So,
next team on the docket, the Diamondbacks.
Whoa,
they're big.
Diamondbacks are
they're big. They're back. So the Diamondbacks, they added. You don't like how big? Fine, I'll change it for you. Doesn't like how big it is.
It was just we weren't ready.
To show my support for the Diamondbacks.
We just weren't ready.
I mean, shout out the Diamondbacks. First they were there above the Rockies, which felt like a dig at Rockies fans, and now then they were just huge, and it was a whole ordeal.
Dylan has no faith in the Diamondbacks.
Hey, I didn't say that yet.
He doesn't believe that they will reign above all.
Well, that's true. Sorry, Diamondbacks fans.
They added Zach Gallen, 1 year, $22.025. Paul Sewald, 1 year, 1.5 as a reliever. Carlos Santana to play first, 1 for 2. Merrill Kelly, another starter, brought him back 2 for 40. So you keep that Kelly and Gallen duo. Then you also brought in Mike Soroka, reliever, 1 for 7.5. James McCann, a catcher, 1 for 2.75. Taylor Clark, a reliever, 1 for 1.55. You traded for Nolan Arenado from the Cardinals. Cade Stroud, a reliever from Baltimore. Josh Gross, starter from Colorado. Avery Owosu-Asiedo, another outfielder from the Rockies. And then Jose Mejia, an infielder from Baltimore. So you brought in a lot of guys, some fringe guys, some we probably will never hear a mention of again. But Diamondbacks had a lot of depth issues last year. They lost Connor Kaiser, a second baseman, to the Royals. Austin Pope, a pitcher, to the Braves. Casey Kelly, a pitcher. He's still in free agency. So is Jalen Beeks. And then you traded Blaze Alexander to Baltimore. Diamondbacks went to the World Series versus the Rangers just a couple years ago. Their star was ascending, and then they kind of flatlined the last 2 years. Can the rotation built with older vets plus a Corbin Burns return from injury question mark provide stability, or they're kind of the same team that they've been, plus a superstar pitcher who's just hurt?
Yeah, it's really tough to say. Again, similar to what I said about the Rockies, the NL West is a gauntlet. So you're not getting any easy games in your division aside from the Colorado Rockies. I'm looking at their lineup here, and I got to just throw out the question because it's just ringing in my mind. Is this the best middle infield in baseball? Ketel Marte and Geraldo Perdomo. Am
Yes.
I wasn't sure if I was missing one in my head. But Perdomo really came along last year. If you guys watched our shortstop rankings, Corey is very high on him. Ketel Marte, I think we all had as the consensus best second baseman in baseball. So that mixed with a Corbin Carroll. I like the Carlos Santana signing, truthfully, as a vet at first base. I like the Arenado trade for a team that needs some bats to compete in this NL West. This season will be defined, like Corey mentioned, on the rotation. Can you get one good year out of Zach Allen? Can you get Corbin Burns back and producing at an ace level? Can Brendan Pfaadt produce all year? Can you get something out of a Merrill Kelly, a Reen Nelson, and Eduardo Rodriguez, a Soroka? Like, can you get enough out of those guys to get into the playoffs? Because we've seen this team can get into the playoffs as a 6 seed and go to a World Series.
And I think that it's going to be a question because their window, at least in that rotation, isn't open for long. They're not built for sustained success with how their roster is right now, at least on the pitching staff front. And we've seen that hamper teams. Baltimore is one that we've talked about a lot. For the longest time, Toronto, we spoke about as a team that had a great offense, but no pitching. So where do the Diamondbacks go from here? We'll have to find out, but they need to go all in this year because if they don't, it's just going to be another wasted year. And, they're an older team, and how are they going to handle, aging vets, Arenado? You have injuries like Corbin Carroll's hamate bone. They have a lot of depth issues that kept them out from contention the last couple of years when guys went down. They have a pitcher, Andrew Stalfunk, had shoulder surgery, so he's out for the year. So you have a lot of issues, guys that, Marte, you have a lot of locker room question marks. They were close to trading him this offseason. So
and if things go south to open the year, could he want out?
Exactly. And how is that going to affect the locker room and their ability to contend? So how do you think they handle all these different question marks that teams like the Dodgers and, the Blue Jays and other contenders just don't really have to deal with from every front?
We kind of talked about this a little bit last year with the Padres. And my answer then was, if your team's winning baseball games, a lot of things seem to solve themselves in terms of that department. So you have to hope, if you're a Diamondbacks fan, that the roster put together is just good enough to win more than they lose on a nightly basis. You get to the deadline, you're second in the NL West, 3 games back behind the Dodgers. You feel great. You get to the deadline, you're in 4th place, 10 to 15 games back of first place. All of a sudden, it's, are we trading guys? And I think the first half of the year and how this team opens and how this pitching staff looks are going to be instrumental to the Diamondback season.
Even if the Diamondbacks are in a playoff spot come trade deadline, but not commanding their maybe the 2nd or 3rd wild card and not really blowing people away,
I think they'd buy.
I think
they'd buy expiring pitching deals. Because my assumption is if the lineup is producing. My assumption won't be if things go south for the Diamondbacks, it's at the lineup. Maybe injuries. Corbin Carroll banged up already, so
right.
Something to note there. But my assumption would be if the Diamondbacks don't make the playoffs this year, it's because too many runs were given up.
Next up, the San Fran Giants. They added Sam Hentges, a reliever, 1 year, 1.4. Jason Foley, another reliever, 1 for 2. Adrian Hauser started for Team USA today. Started for the Giants today against Paul Skeens, 2 for 22. Tyler Mahle, starter, 1 for 10. Harrison Bader, outfielder, 2 for 20.5. Phillies could use him, right, John?
They sure could now.
You wanted him even before he signed with the
not
Giants.
not
Harrison
really.
Bader is a ball player. I wanted him on the Yankees.
I would have rather Bader maybe over Adolis Garcia.
Bader, I think, could.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one of those guys that.
He's a guy that you really like to have.
Yeah.
Luis Arias, he's there, 1 for 12. Will Brennan, a right fielder, 1 for 900 grand. And then Rowan Wick, another reliever, 1 for 880. They traded for Jansiel Villaroel, utility man from Houston, Daniel Susek, a catcher from Minnesota, and then Logan Martin, a starter from Kansas City. They lost Joey Lucchesi, a starter. He's still a free agent. Andrew Knizner, a catcher. He's in Seattle now. Justin Verlander, he's back in Detroit. Wilmer Flores, he's still a free agent. Dom Smith, he went to Atlanta. Tom Murphy, a catcher, he's a free agent. So the Giants were a weird team. They weren't great last year. Like I said, they went 81-81. They were kind of like a surprising, like middle of the pack. They did get Devers during last season. But now they added a new manager. How effective will Tony Vitello be? He's coming from college, no major league or professional sports managing experience, going from college kids to getting the highest paid players in the world. Is there going to be a bit of a learning curve for him, or is he going to run right into it?
What's interesting to me is he's not getting a particularly young team. Luis Arias, Matt Chapman, Rafi Devers, Logan Webb, Willie Adames, Harrison Bader, like the best players on this team are all vets. So I think it may be harder if they brought him in to be a culture guy to develop a culture, because a lot of these guys kind of are already in their ways. Now, obviously, if you're one of the best and you're a great manager, you're going to find a way anyways. And I'm not passing any judgment here whatsoever, but the task does seem like a harder one to meet in that aspect because of the age and veteran presences already on this team. And because I don't necessarily look at some of the veteran presences on this team as renowned leaders as well. We saw everything Rafi Devers did last year in Boston, talking about how he wouldn't play first base for them, but he had no problem playing first base for the Giants. That to me tells me if he becomes unhappy with something in San Francisco, why would he not lash out the same way he did in Boston? I don't look at Luis Arias as a guy who was a real locker room leader. We saw everything happening last year with San Diego going into the season. There was drama. So, we'll see how it shakes out. I'm only on the outside looking in, obviously, so I don't know, but that's my speculation.
It's just weird because usually we'd see like this type of manager be brought in for a younger team,
like the Rockies.
Yeah, a younger team and stuff. But I'm guessing if this is more of like just a baseball move purely, and maybe like just for how he manages the game and rotation stuff. I'm guessing because I don't really know much about him. I don't really follow college
Me neither.
baseball very much, but I'm assuming he's more of a. I would assume he's more of like a game manager more than like a locker room manager. So
it's an interesting case. I think he has the opportunity to do well. He seems to have the personality for it. But now with the Giants, they added Luis Arias, who hung out in free agency for a while. Good offensive, contact guy, but somebody of his skill set, he physically cannot run. Very slow, no power. So adding somebody like him who will hit a lot of singles and not much more, and Harrison Bader coupled with an Adames, a Chapman, a Devers, how are those two big additions in Bader and Arias going to help the offense?
I mean, more contact for sure. I think defensively, Bader's an upgrade. Arias, not great, but worth it for the bat. I think those two guys.
What position do we anticipate Arias playing?
Second,
not first. Getting Devers back to DH.
I mean, maybe Fangraphs seems to think Eldridge will be the DH and Devers at first.
And that was going to be my next question: is how do they balance Arias, who's not very great defensively, Devers, and Eldridge, who they want to get Eldridge in.
I think as long as Devers likes the team, he'll be fine moving around. But again, in Boston, we saw like the infamous "I play third." So
I think that was just stemmed from them saying that they were going to do one thing with him and then switching up, and they signed.
I do think he was mad,
It
but
was just a very.
have the Giants been
handled
telling
it
him
bad.
all off season, "You're our first baseman," and then are they going to want to move him to DH?
Yeah,
And is he going to be upset about that? Devers is the big X factor for this team, not just personality wise, but I think for them to reach their full potential, the pitching staff is a question for me, but I think he has to be an MVP level player in this lineup. And I'm not saying he's going to win it because he's obviously in the National League with Shohei Ohtani. But if the Giants are a playoff team, I think Rafi Devers will probably be a top 5 MVP candidate.
Let me write that down. If Giants are a playoff team, Rafi Devers is a top 5 MVP candidate. Is that right?
Hey, that's if they get there, that'd be my guess.
All right.
I'm getting the sense that you disagree. I haven't heard you write down many of my takes that you agree with. So
I don't know if you don't write down take very often.
I actually very much agree with it. I just wanted to lock it down because I think that the Giants, if they're going to be good and be a playoff team, they're going to need high-end production out of Devers. He's their most potent offensive bat. So if they are going to be good, he needs to be good as well.
Because when you look at these other teams in this division, if we just kind of pen the Dodgers in as a playoff team, and then we look at a division, yes, 3 teams can get in some, but if we look at it as like there's just one spot left for the other teams to compete for, the Diamondbacks have Corbin Carroll and the Padres have Fernando Tatis. There's not really a player of that caliber on paper in the lineup for the Giants. So my assumption is if the Giants make the jump to the playoffs because their pitching rotation isn't so potent, it's because Rafi Devers became one of those players, meaning he probably had an MVP-esque season.
I think it's very, very, very possible. So the next team, though, I gave a lot of, issues with last year, the San Diego Padres. I thought that
Whoa. You gave a lot of issues to. Ben gave a lot of issues to. This guy said, hey, settle down. It'll all be all right. They'll be back in the playoffs. I'm not sure what you said either. So
I don't know what I said, but I'm assuming that I don't know.
I mean, they were a playoff team. They were better than I expected, but also, they did lose in the wild card round.
Yeah, but all I said was that they'd make the playoffs. I didn't say how far they'd go.
True. So the Padres coming off a 90-win season, they added German Marquez, 1 year, 1.75. Nick Castellanos, 1 year, $780K. Griffin Canning, a starter, 1 year, 2.5. Miguel Andujar, an outfielder, 1 for 4. Brought back Michael King, 3 for 75. Then they also 2 notable minor league signings, Walker Buehler and Tristan McKenzie as rotation arms. I think those are very interesting moves. They didn't really make many trades. They did lose Jose Iglesias to free agency. Martin Maldonado retired. Luis Arias, obviously, he just went to San Fran. Nestor Cortez got hurt, and now he's a free agent. Dylan Cease went to Toronto. Ryan O'Hearn to Pittsburgh. Robert Suarez to Atlanta. Tyler Wade to Texas. Elias Diaz to Kansas City. So, with the Padres, they don't have an ace. And I think you can argue that they don't really even have like a 2 in a way.
Disagree.
Well, let me finish. I really like Michael King, but him as a starter, he's spent a lot of his career as a reliever. He's not your prototypical ace or 2.
See, I disagree. I think they have 3 2s, honestly.
Well, so how can they handle this rotation not having an ace then and no, top of the line pitcher? Can 3 2s make up what 1-1 can do?
not to get too far ahead, but I think absolutely. I think throughout the season, you can get enough production out of Pavetta, King, Musgrove. And now with the names that they have, Vasquez, Marquez, Sears, Bueller, McKenzie, you can find 2 other guys to fill that rotation. And by the way, you kind of have starter depth when it comes to eating innings. I think the Padres rotation is a solid regular season rotation. And what it reminds me of is the Mets 2 years ago, but a little bit better, because that's a Mets team that found themselves in an NLCS. They weren't a strong regular season team. They got by on their lineup and decent enough pitching, but I think the Padres rotation is a little bit of a step above that. But you remember it was Quintana, Manaya, Kodai Senga when he could play, Severino. This feels like a better version of that.
I get that. I just think they had career years out of a lot of guys, and they banked on a lot of luck.
But I think it's also possible we see a Michael King have a career year. We could see a Nick Pivetta continue to have a really good run like he's been having. Maybe Musgrove's a little bit past his prime at this point, but you never know.
I mean, what do we expect out of a Yu Darvish?
I mean, I don't think he's with the team anymore.
No,
I don't think so. I thought he retired.
I saw like somebody saying, "Did he retire?" And then like him saying, "Oh no, that's not true."
I mean, Fangraphs doesn't have him projected to get any starting pitching time. That's the only reason I believe the retirement was correct.
He's not on the roster. He's on the roster.
What is it? Baseball Reference has him projected to go 7-6 with a 4.5 ERA in 26.
So.
I mean, but again, I think that's another name that adds to their depth then. You add Darvish there. Like they have 7-8 guys who I think could realistically have 5-inning outings in the regular season.
They're not going to have bad pitching during the regular season. I mean, like just purely, even if they did have bad pitching, just based off.
I think you could argue the rotation hurts them come playoff time.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because, you're up against a Blake Snell, a Zach Wheeler, a Chris Sale on the other side, and you don't have a matchup for that for sure. But I think over the course of the regular season, they have enough good to great guys that they'll be all right.
Is this rotation much better than the Diamondbacks rotation?
I mean, I feel like we're going to start getting into predictions.
No, without talking about predictions, if we just go rotation for rotation.
I would prefer the Padres rotation.
But is it that big a difference?
In the terms of the 5 or in terms of their total depth included?
In terms of the 5, let's start with.
I still kind of think yes.
You could think it is, but it is.
Am I including Corbin Burns for the Diamondbacks? Because he's hurt right now.
He is hurt right now.
Are you including Darvish for the Padres?
If I'm including Burns, I would say it's not a big gap. And you could even maybe give, if Burns is Burns, a slight edge to Arizona. I just don't know where he is.
Merrill Kelly.
Then no, I would go Padres.
All right. Now, also with the Padres, how is adding a guy like Castellanos, who has a lot of baggage coming with him? You have Marquez. You have a very vet-heavy team now. Marquez, who got shelled around in Colorado, is their guy.
Are we sure Castellanos is an everyday player for this team? Are
no,
we sure he's playing over Miguel Andujar?
We're not sure, but also he is a guy that will be on the roster every day, and what he does in that dugout.
But if he's your 5th outfielder, I think you're in a decent spot.
I meant more, he seemed to have a lot of problems that led to his split with Philly. Does any of that carry over?
I think a lot of that was just the manager and
I think he fits right in.
I think he was a good team.
I mean, this is a team we talked about with problems last year, though.
So,
yeah, but this is one I can really quantify. He was literally drinking alcohol in the dugout.
He didn't actually drink the beer. He just brought the beer in the dugout.
He just had it. It was open.
You know how it is.
Saw him take a sip.
Those summer days.
What? All right, let's go to the team that everybody wants to discuss, the Dodgers.
The Dodgers, a team that every baseball fan should respect 1,000% because they do what you want your team to do.
I'm going to say something. It's going to sound like I am being facetious, but I mean this wholeheartedly. The Dodgers are not ruining baseball. They're not. What they're doing should be commended, not used as an excuse to add a stupid salary cap and change the whole system. They're playing within the rules.
I don't want to go into a salary cap.
I'm not
here, but I just want to make it clear. I'm not totally against a salary cap if it comes with a salary minimum. That way, all the teams actually have to participate.
I just think a cap in a fully guaranteed sport makes no mathematical sense for either side. So unless you start not fully guaranteeing contracts, a cap doesn't work. And that's why a cap does work in the NFL, is contracts aren't fully guaranteed. So without getting into much salary cap, we'll save that for next year when there's a lockout. The Dodgers aren't doing anything wrong, and you really need to take a step back and look at the sport as a whole, because it's not the Dodgers causing all these issues. It's the Pirates, the Orioles, the Marlins, the A's.
Take the Pirates out of there. They were active. It wasn't a big free agency class.
Face.
No, they were we talked about the Pirates in NL Central. If you're interested in a Pirates debate, we already had that.
We did. But the Dodgers are not ruining the sport. That's what I'm getting at, is the Dodgers are not the issue. Take a step back. It's not them. Don't blame them for all the downfalls of the sport.
We've had this conversation multiple times about the Dodgers, but they are not the 2017, 2018 Golden State Warriors, where going into the year, it was already for sure they were going to win. And going into every finals, they dominated. They were down 3-2 last year going to Toronto.
They had a 1 or 2 seed in the NL. They were the 3 seed. They were the lowest record division winner in the National League.
Correct. And this isn't even copium, but that Yankees World Series, we've talked about this, was closer than the final said. The Yankees are 1 pitch away from winning game 1, and they're a 5th inning collapse away from winning another game in that series. That very easily could have also been a 6 or 7 game series. I still think ultimately the same outcome happens, but a half inning and 1 pitch completely made that World Series a blowout. So, and again, with baseball, you can't predict injuries. The right team can get hot at any time, and no team is untouchable. The Dodgers have the best team on paper. There's no doubt about it. But we saw last year they can be beat. We've seen the Phillies have tremendous success against them in the regular season the past 2 years.
They own them. I think they've only lost
But this is my point. There's a team. I'm sure there's other teams too that have had a ton of success. That just came to mind. 2 World Series that felt competitive in the moment for parts of it for the Yankee series, and certainly the entire Blue Jays World Series was competitive. I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that the Dodgers will win the World Series. I understand why they'd be the betting favorite, but these guys got to show up and play ball, and they got to make it through 162 healthy.
The Dodgers, they brought back Kike Hernandez 1 year, $4.5 million. Evan Phillips, reliever, 1 year, $6.5. Andy Ibanez, a second baseman, 1 for $1.2. Miguel Rojas is back 1 year, $5.5. Edwin Diaz, they brought in to shore up that bullpen, 3 for $69. One of the best, if not the best, reliever in the game. And now Kyle Tucker, 4 years, $240 to play the outfield. Again, any of our teams, any team in the league could have offered him that contract. They didn't.
And again, if you're mad at somebody, be mad at Kyle Tucker for choosing the Dodgers. Other teams offered him decent money. I don't know if the numbers fully came out, but I believe Toronto offered him a ton of money. I believe the Cubs offered him a ton of money. I believe the Mets offered him a ton of money. He chose the Dodgers. Don't be mad at the Dodgers organization for trying. Be mad at Tucker if you want to be mad at somebody for taking the easy way out. That is who your anger should be directed at if you're mad at somebody.
And unlike every other sport, baseball is 162 games. You're not guaranteed a playoff spot on opening day. The Dodgers, they traded for Adriano Marrero, started for Miami. Tyler Gu, a starter from Seattle. They also extended Max Muncy for 1 year through the 2027 season. They lost Tony Gonsolin, a starter, to free agency. So we're starting to see that deep rotation start to lose a little bit and chip away. Clayton Kershaw retired. Kirby Yates, a reliever, he went to the Angels. Andrew Heaney, another pitcher. He was a free agent still. Michael Conforto, the outfielder, is a Cub. Michael Kopech, another pitcher, he's a free agent. They traded away Anthony Banda to Minnesota. Estuary Ruiz was traded to Miami. So the Dodgers are not the same team year to year. They had to add Tucker and Diaz because they saw some deficiencies.
Yep.
So
I mean, Diaz, I thought, was like, for anybody that's like, oh, it's not fair. Like, I think Diaz was even fine for people who were like, it's like they were at the point where they were using starters as their relievers.
Roki Sasaki should not have been their closer in playoffs.
So I think that's very fair. I have an interesting Dodgers take/theory that I want to run past you guys. Do you think the team would potentially be better served, better off, not pitching Shohei Ohtani before the All-Star break? In the sense of, you did it last year, you kept him healthy, you were still good enough to get to the playoffs because you have Yamamoto, Snell, Glasnow, Shaheen, Sasaki. And obviously, if one of those guys gets hurt and then you need a starter, then you have one in Ohtani. But to make sure Ohtani's healthy, would the smart play being, with how good your roster is, to just DH him for the first half of the year and then ramp him up in those last 2.5, 3 months?
I think the happy medium to that would be go to a 5/sometimes 6-man rotation where you skip Ohtani's start when there's off days involved just to keep him fresh. I think you let him get that work in early and you slowly stretch him out over the season. I just think that Ohtani as a
like, you think there should be some kind of plan, though, to mitigate injury risk? Like, don't just treat him as a normal starter.
You have arguably one of the best, if not, soon to be the best pitcher in baseball in Yamamoto.
Now you're talking my language.
Top 3 already.
Most clutch, too, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't hate his nation like Scooble and potentially Skeens.
I mean, we know one of them out of those 3 guys pitched well in a WBC. And it wasn't the 2 guys pitching for Team USA.
And Yamamoto, ice in the veins. We all saw World Series Game 7. We all saw who that MVP went to on a team with Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani.
But Ohtani as a pitcher, I feel, has always been more overrated than properly rated. He's always spoken about as an ace, and I think he's a mid-rotation arm. He, had good success in the postseason. I don't want to take that away from him. But his regular season numbers aren't really anything super crazy.
I'm interested to see now that he gets a full season, because last year what he did in the regular season with the Dodgers was kind of puts him at a 4 in like our normal rotation, even like it was like a 4 or 5 for the Dodgers. I thought at his peak with the Angels, you could argue he was a 1. To me, I'd probably view him right now as a 2, maybe 3. Similar to the way that I just talked about a Michael King.
I think that's very fair.
I think, like, as a pitcher, obviously, in terms of who Ohtani is as a player, if we were drafting teams for the year, he'd go 1 overall. But 1 or 2, I'll leave it at that.
Look, he's good at pitching, but he's not
good. He's good at pitching.
Best.
He's good at pitching. He's excellent at hitting.
Yes.
Long term, would it be better to put him as a reliever, though, where you could have him close out games?
I think if he could be a closer, he could be a top 5 closer in baseball.
I think that is very easily possible. He's got great stuff. You can use him for multiple innings.
And he's got gas.
He throws.
Just imagine you face, Yamamoto. He goes 8 strong, and all of a sudden, that's Ohtani's music coming out of the bullpen. Or not even out of the bullpen, coming out of the dugout. He's already hit 2 home runs versus you that game. And then he just mows you down for the win.
I mean, we saw it in the WBC. So when he struck out Trout.
Exactly. I think Ohtani's future is in the bullpen, and I think longevity-wise, he's not going to be pitching as long as he's going to be hitting in the league.
Yeah.
And I think to keep him pitching longer, the bullpen eventually will be the move. Maybe not right now, but I think contingencies need to be put in place. Even starting him off in the bullpen, letting him work one inning here, maybe go for two. And then by the time the All-Star break happens, you can ease him into the rotation that way. So he's built up for the playoffs.
Outside of Ohtani, I guess pick how you want to answer this. Who's the next most important, or who do you think is the next guy who could win MVP on the Dodgers?
I think it's got to be Mookie Betts.
Mookie Betts, yeah.
See,
possibly.
I think I lean Freddie Freeman. I mean, what he's done consistently as a batter, we saw Mookie's bat go a little bit. Freeman's obviously an excellent first base defender, got, the length to him. If we just saw him have a season with some pop, I think that he could certainly also enter top 5 MVP conversations. I mean, we've seen it before in Atlanta.
The age is what concerns me. He's 36. He'll be 37 before the playoffs.
I mean, he just didn't cool off at all last year.
No, but eventually age will catch up. And
I like how none of us said Kyle Tucker, though, by the way.
I just
he's
don't
good. I don't think he's.
I'm just saying, a guy that caused a massive freak out that they signed.
Right.
In terms of ranking the 5 best players on the Dodgers, Ohtani, Freeman, Betts, Yamamoto, Snell, I don't think Tucker cracks it.
I don't think Tucker's even more important than Diaz to what this team's going to do throughout the season.
Yeah, I mean, I think 7's the lowest we could go with him. I'm not putting Teoscar Hernandez or Will Smith ahead of him. I'm not even doing Glass now just because he doesn't play enough. But if Sasaki elevated, maybe.
Or Max Muncy, what he brings to the team, maybe not on the field, but overall, they love Max Muncy.
Good, man.
They're such a deep team, and a lot of them are not necessarily homegrown, but guys at the Dodge, nobody was talking about Kike Hernandez this way, but outside the Dodgers and the Red Sox.
Tommy Edman
with the Cardinals wasn't this. Teoscar Hernandez was a good but not great player with the Blue Jays. And
he was available to everybody. Same with Edman. Again, we talked about Tucker earlier, but he was available. Yamamoto had his rounds.
We didn't even bring up Will Smith, the catcher.
Yeah, who for a second I thought could have been World Series MVP. I mean, going into Game 7, he was my pick for World Series MVP.
And I put him above Tucker in terms of importance.
I don't think I'd go that far, but
I would.
I like Will Smith.
So the Dodgers are a really good team. Now, they're really, really good.
In summary, the two-time defending World Series champions, they're pretty good. And they keep trying to get better.
Now, what has to go right and what could we see going wrong for this team? So what goes right for a three-peat and what has to go wrong, not counting injuries, for them to not three-peat?
I think injuries.
No, not counting injuries.
But I think that's the only thing.
I don't think it's the only thing. I think if we see Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman hit a ceiling on their age at the exact same time. To be fair, and I love Mookie, we saw it a little bit last year. It wasn't a great Mookie Betts season. He still had competitive at-bats at the plate. It didn't kill them. He's still a good defender. But if he can't hit, if he hits at the level he did last year, or a little bit worse, and Freeman comes down, that lineup suddenly isn't quite as potent. And Teoscar Hernandez has had some good seasons on the Dodgers, but we've also seen him in his career have some just kind of general average seasons. If those 3 bats come down, then I think they're vulnerable. Right. I'm not saying that they'd miss the playoffs. Again, injury is obviously the big thing for this team, but injury aside, I think some of their bats are susceptible for regression.
And to be fair with Mookie Betts last season, he did start off the season sick. He was having that medical issues.
Right. He also didn't have a good playoffs batting, so it wasn't like it completely fixed.
Now, the thing with the Dodgers also is they have one of the oldest rosters in baseball.
Yeah.
Their average age is around 30, 31 years old. It's if a lot of these guys hit that age, and start showing it. It's not just the guys you named, a Kike Hernandez, a Max Muncy, a Teoscar Hernandez. If they start showing it, obviously Freeman, Betts, Tucker, like
I
you
mean,
said,
Snell's not a spry.
Snell's not young. Glasnow's had a lot of injury issues, and he's also
Yeah,
not
I kind of
young.
figured like throwing him into like the Glasnow's issue has always been health. But to be fair, like it's not just a random injury if he gets injured. He's a player that hasn't stayed healthy a ton.
Like the only player above 30 that I have full faith in not slowing down for the Dodgers is Ohtani.
I agree.
Like I think it'd be foolish to think that he's going to slow down because he's going to be 33. Let's see. I think he's going to be 33. No, he's going to be 32. So he's a year younger, but he's over 30. He's the only one that I think you can't say is going to slow down. And I don't think you can say it until he actually does it. Where for other players, you could say, like, yeah, Freeman, he'll start to show time. Guys like Ohtani do it on their own clock.
I don't think any of us are betting on this to happen, by the way. I just think this is the what if things go wrong. Yeah. To sustain success, I think it's just kind of
inevitability. I mean, it's going to happen. I just don't think it's going to be this season. And even if it does happen, like they have so many top prospects in their farm system. I think they have like, I want to say 3 or 4 prospects in the MLB's like top 50 or something.
It is hard to bridge.
It's something I don't know the exact thing, but I think they have
hard
quite
to
a
bridge
bit.
the gap, though. But, like in terms of like six, like let's be honest, anything other than a World Series title is a failure for this team. To be fair, like we were talking about, I mean, polar opposites, but we opened up this episode saying 60 wins would be a big plus for the Rockies. Anything other than a World Series title is a failure for this team.
Now let's talk about this league as a whole, this division. As always, we got Pacoda, and we have our predictions.
Classic Pacoda.
Pacoda will go last to first, as always. Mm-hmm. Pacoda has the Rockies at 61 and 101.
I have the Rockies in 5th as well. I'd probably take the under.
I have the Rockies in last, and I'm taking the under. Ben also has the Rockies in last.
And I also have the Rockies in last.
4th place, according to Pacoda, the Diamondbacks at 78 and 84. And I also have the Diamondbacks in 4th, even though I really think that 3 and 4 could be interchangeable here.
I have the Giants in 4th.
I have the Giants in 4th, too.
Ben has the Padres in 4th.
How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man?
Last week he had, very, normal. Tame rankings.
What's next? Dodgers in 3rd?
I do think we should put out there, though, there's a wide gap between 4th and 5th where, last year we saw the Diamondbacks were 4th and they were 80 wins.
Mm-hmm.
So, honestly, we're saying 4th, but we're not saying that they're going to be bad. 4th here is still a team that could be pushing for a wild card spot.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In 3rd place, Pacoda has the Padres at 81 and 81. And this is where Ben has the Giants.
It's where Dylan has the Diamondbacks.
It is where I also have the Diamondbacks.
I went back and forth on 2 and 3.
This is where I have the Padres.
I think the Diamondbacks are my first team out of the playoffs right now because I don't trust the pitching without Burns fully healthy.
See, that's where I'm kind of out with the Padres. They're right now my first team out.
Yep.
Pacoda has the Giants in 2nd place at 82 and 80.
Trash.
I also have the Giants as a wild card team.
Trash. I have the Padres finishing in 2nd as a wild card team.
And I have the Padres finishing 2nd as a wild card team also.
Ben has the Diamondbacks finishing in 2nd place.
Me and John went bar for bar on the NL West, so
we actually agreed.
We all have the Dodgers winning the division, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the win total on Pacoda?
I'm taking the under on the win total.
Well, what is it?
104 and 58. That is too high.
That's so interesting. Fangraphs has it at 99. I would
think
take
they
it.
could break 100 though.
I think I'd take the over on Fangraphs, but I think I lean the under on Pacoda. I think
Yeah.
they probably finish around like 102, 103.
I think last year 93 win team. How much is Tucker really bringing you? I think 100. I wouldn't go anything more than.
I don't think
100.
it's just Tucker. I think it's Tucker. I think it's a full season of Ohtani pitching. I think it's having Edwin Diaz to close out games when they didn't have a strong bullpen last year. I think it's just another year of Yamamoto improving to be that true, consistent, season-long ace. I think Mookie Betts probably has a better start to the year. I think there's a lot of different things that went into it for me.
Roque Sasaki should get better too.
Yeah, there's a lot of different reasons I think that this team's going to be a better regular season team for sure.
I think between 98 and 102 is where I would be comfortable calling it for the Dodgers in that 4-game span, 5-game span. I just think 104 is very high.
Could you quickly run our updated NL playoff teams?
Yes.
Before we do the East.
John, Dylan, you both have the Dodgers and the Padres. And then on the NL Central side of things, John, you just have the Cubs, and Dylan, you just have the Cubs.
Hey, my man.
I also just have the Cubs, but then I have the Dodgers and the Giants.
I think we're gonna have all the same predictions here.
Oh, you wait until I put the Marlins over the Phillies.
You know what? I wouldn't even argue that much with you.
And then Ben has the Diamond. Well, I guess he didn't say if they were playoff teams though. So we know he has the Dodgers and the Reds.
Well, to make things interesting, right? There's 3 wild card teams, correct?
Yeah.
The Padres make the playoffs for me now. Padres are a playoff team.
One of those NL East teams isn't getting in for Corey.
Yeah. Which one is it? We'll find out. But the Dodgers, Giants, and Padres are all playoff teams.
I almost did it with the Diamondbacks, but I just kind of.
I got close too.
Diamondbacks are now my first team out.
Hey, welcome to the club.
I just like them better than the NL team that I'm holding out. We'll find out. We still have both AL and NL East, and then predictions. WBC will be in full swing when we talk next week. The season is upon us. We are in opening day month, a couple weeks ahead. We'll be covering it all. For John, Pauline, Dylan, Mel, Corey, Jason, it's been the Outsider Sports Baseball Podcast, signing off.